Welcome to the Real Estate Show with your real estate and mortgaging team, Terry Kilakos and Merav Marciano on CJAD 800.
Good afternoon, everyone. You're listening to the Real Estate Show, and I'm your host, Terry Kilakos, chartered real estate and mortgage broker, as well as president of Northeast and CBC Alliance. You see how I just shortened that down. Last week, I said that the title was too long. I shortened it down. And today we're talking about how to become a broker. If you're curious about how to become a real estate or mortgage broker, this is the show for you, because we're going to talk about the good, the bad, and the ugly of the profession, which is very interesting for all our listeners. Joining me, we have my beautiful co-host, Merav Marciano, chartered real estate and mortgage broker and vice president of Northeast and CBC Alliance, as well as mother to 3 beautiful children and my wife as well. So there you go. I extended your title.
It sounds like I'm pointing a weapon at you the way that you say. And my wife.
She is pointing a weapon at me, people.
It's the eyes.
Yeah.
The eyes are pointed at you.
That's right. Exactly. Feel free to reach us online at nordest.ca, or you could visit us on our Facebook page, which is facebook.com/Northeast Nordest and facebook.com/CBC Alliance Quebec. And if you haven't done so, please take a moment to subscribe to our YouTube channel, which is newsonthego.ca.
You always say that like it's some sort of like airline announcement.
Otherwise, I'm going to create an OnlyFans page for instead of the News on the Go.
Oh my goodness, Terry.
I'm going to be talking about, people are going to go in, they're going to pay, and they're going to hear me talking about real estate. I'm not talking about anything else.
Okay. Okay, so let's go back to the subject of becoming a broker. Yeah, so, we've met a lot of people over the years. Terry, you go on crazy tangents.
Yeah, all right.
Yes.
We have met a lot of people over the years, okay? There's a ton of people that have asked me about what the process is to actually becoming a broker. So you know what? We decided to dedicate this show just to that, because we do have a lot of people that listen to our show, and a lot of people have expressed this interest. So first question that you have to ask yourself, if you decide that you want to get into this profession, would be, what would you say it is?
Why?
Yeah.
Why are you looking to become a broker? It's important to answer that to yourself and obviously to the agency you're going to be working at. Why are you looking at becoming a broker?
And what was your why?
My why?
Because I'm going to tell you my why, and I think it's going to throw a lot of people for a loop.
Okay, I'll let you say your why first.
No. Let's go with your why
my
first.
Why?
Because your why is actually legitimate, and it's a good one. My why is purely self-serving.
It's just willy-nilly.
Please go on. Yeah.
My why was simple. So I don't know if a lot of you know, I studied engineering. I graduated. I became a computer engineer. And I worked in that field for about 10 years.
Nerd alert.
And yes, and it was during the Nortel days. Now I'm aging myself. But basically, after about 10 years of working in that, I realized that it wasn't necessarily for me. Not that the engineering portion, the whole corporate world was a bit difficult for me to work in, especially with kids and all that. And especially when I saw you, Terry, go into this world, I said, wait a minute, I'm working like crazy hours, rushing to pick up the kids, rushing to drop them off. And I'm not, sorry to say, I'm not making enough money to justify what I'm doing. And I decided to do a complete career change. And obviously at the beginning it was very hard, especially being a couple, both of us self-employed. But looking at it now, 12 years I've been a broker. I'm very happy with the decision.
So let me give you my why. And my why is a little bit different. And like I said, it's completely self-serving. So back in the day in 2006, when I actually went to school, I went to I didn't choose to go to school to So Merav comes to me one day because I had been
'Cause you
between
were
two jobs.
retired.
I
You
was
were retired. Yeah.
And she's like, look, if I have to go to work every day, she's like, you're like a stay-at-home dad. There's nothing wrong with being a stay-at-home dad, but she's like, you need to do something. And I had my real estate, and I had like the odd jobs that I would do here and there. I would take care of my properties. I was retired. I felt like I was like, I don't know. Okay. So she's like, you need to do something. She's like, I've signed you up to the real estate agent's course. And back then, when you would go and do the real estate agent's course, you would also get licensed as a mortgage broker and a commercial broker. So it was all three licenses all bundled up together.
Yeah, back then it was called agent.
Exactly.
Yeah.
It was agent. It was ACAIC. It wasn't even OACIQ.
Yeah.
So now I'm aging myself, but whatever. So Merav signs me up to this, and I was like, okay, you know what? I said, it could be interesting because I own real estate, so I'm going to find out what these terrible people know, okay? Because to
Terrible people, real estate brokers?
yes, to me, okay, and, shame on me, like in the hierarchy of like bad people, like in sales, you had like used car sales. I'm going to insult a whole bunch of people right now, but I apologize. This is the past. I was like, used car salesmen, insurance salesmen, real estate brokers. I'm like, I don't like these people.
You
but
were in your 20s, early 20s. It's okay.
Not early 20s. What are you talking about?
Yeah.
No.
Early 30s.
Yeah, exactly.
Yes.
So I go into the class, and the first day of class, the teacher says, why are you guys here? And he went around the class, and I said, look, I was working for Investors Group. I studied finance. I have zero interest in being here. Okay. I'm not getting licensed. I kid you not. This is what I said. I'm not getting licensed. I just want to know what you guys know so that you don't, and I'll spare you the word that I actually used in class, okay, so that you don't...
Screw me.
Yeah, you can't use that word on there. But anyways, yes, you could use it. We just got like a thumbs up for the producer.
Sorry, I was like, sorry, Mr. Producer.
I think I might have actually used a little bit more harsher word than that. But anyways, in a transaction when I acquire properties. And they all kind of laughed. And then at the end of the class, the teacher comes up to me. He's like, I don't understand. You're not actually going to write your license? I'm like, no, I'm not. And he's like, but you worked in finance. He goes, why don't, instead of you becoming, if you don't like being in real estate, why don't you go become a mortgage broker? I was like, a mortgage broker? I was like, what's a mortgage broker? He's like, contact Multipret. They, because that's where I worked at the beginning at Multipret. So I found out a mortgage broker helps you get mortgages. So I was like, oh my God, my mortgages are coming up for renewal. What better person to get me a mortgage than me?
Wow.
Completely zero thought process about anyone else other than myself.
And who would have thought that all these years later, this is your passion and, you're honestly, you've become like Montreal's mortgage guru after a couple of years. You're like, wow, this is really my strength. And, so sometimes we don't even know why we take a certain path.
When I realized, because the first transaction I did wasn't me, and then I did a couple of other ones in that year, I quickly realized as I started to meet more people that I was actually changing lives. And I actually get a little emotional over it, but I have met with tens of thousands of people over the years, and the amount of change that I have been able to make in people's lives has been so profound that I'm truly humbled, and I always say that this profession found me. Mm-hmm. I didn't seek it. It came to me. And so unfortunately, today there's a lot of people that are going to be watching, Netflix series like, Selling Sunset or stuff like that. And they're going to think that becoming a real estate broker is, all, glitz and glamour. And it could be, but it takes a lot of work.
It does. Honestly, being self-employed in general takes a lot of work, and being a real estate broker or mortgage broker, and especially in this market, if we're talking like this year, this was a crazy year in real estate, and only the sharks survived, because honestly, if you were not...
Well, I'm not going to say the strong. I'm not going to say the sharks.
Yeah, the strong, to me, sharks are, it's a positive term
Yeah.
for me. Maybe sharks to use a negative term.
No,
for
it's
me,
not.
a shark is somebody who is able to just go for it no matter what, you
Sure.
know.
Yeah.
So the market is crazy. There's 15 offers on every property. I'm still gonna go for it, and I'm still gonna help my clients, and I'm still gonna find them a property, and I'm still gonna go out there and find real estate that's not on the market yet for my clients.
Yeah.
You know, same thing with mortgages. It doesn't work with this bank. I'm going to make sure to try with this bank and that bank, and to try this strategy and that strategy. And I think that's what it comes down to. When you're self-employed and you become a broker, you're responsible for this. You write your own paycheck.
Yeah.
You know, so those who are persistent will make money, and those who give up easily won't.
And we've seen it. I've had brokers sit in front of me, and I will always encourage my brokers to rise up to any challenge that's presented to them. And I had this one young man who had come to see me many years ago, who's no longer in the business. And I said to him, where do you see yourself in 5 years? And he said something which I knew right off the bat he would never survive. And he said to me, I see myself where you are. And I said, that is fantastic. I said, I'm going to give you the roadmap to do that. Literally. I was so happy when he said that, but I knew that it was coming from a place of greed. And unfortunately, when he actually realized the amount of work and dedication that it actually took, I would be in at the office at 7 a.m. I would be leaving at 10 o'clock at night. I would be at clients' houses at 10 o'clock at night. Anyways, I can go on and we can continue a little bit about
dedication.
that. When we come back, we're going to be looking at how to become a real estate broker. But first, we're off to the CJAD Traffic Center.
You're listening to The Real Estate Show with your real estate and mortgaging team, Terry Kilakos and Merav Marciano on CJAD 800.
You're listening to The Real Estate Show, and today we're talking about how to become a broker. Feel free to visit us online at nordest.ca, or you can reach out to us at the office at 514-680-4674. We're Olympia, standing by to take all of your calls and questions.
Except not today, because it's Sunday.
She's still there. Anyways. All right. So, before we went off to traffic, we were talking a little bit about the discipline that it takes to actually be a broker. And there's a lot of people that get really bent out of shape when they hear me saying this. They say, you're over, how can I say it?
Complicating it.
Overcomplicating the profession. You're making real estate brokers seem like they're more than what they are. I'm sorry to tell you, a good real estate broker is worth his weight in gold, or her weight in gold. And a good mortgage broker is worth their weight in gold. And anyone that doesn't understand that or appreciate that, they need to understand that they're actually, the people that are listening that don't understand or appreciate what I'm saying right now, why are you listening to the show? You're listening to a mortgage broker and a realtor talking. Why are you listening? Because clearly there's some sort of a value that we're providing, right?
Honestly, this year, real estate brokers really, really shined.
Yeah.
And for those who are resentful towards real estate brokers, I can tell you I've seen them go through blood, sweat, and tears this year with the multiple offers, with the overbidding, with the lack of inventory and visits and fighting on the phone and jumping on properties the minute they come out, and they deserve their commission, let me tell you. And yes, you'll have the easy transaction where you're like, I can't believe this guy just made $20,000 with like one visit. Yes. From time to time, you'll have the easy ones. But there's like another 2 transactions that they've worked like crazy and they lost the deal and they made zero.
Yeah.
So I think it's only fair to appreciate the work that goes into it. And if you're going to go into this profession, definitely you have to have that kind of work ethic.
And the dedication to be with your clients whenever they want you to actually be with them, whether it's 10 o'clock at night, like I mentioned earlier, 9 o'clock in the morning, whatever it may be.
Yeah.
So let's talk about what it takes to actually become a licensed real estate broker.
So there's schooling. There's a few good schools, real estate schools. I'm not choosing here based on my preference, but those that I know of.
I went to LaSalle. I enjoyed it because it's a fashion school and it was full of beautiful women.
Wonderful. I went to Collège Immobilier and did it virtually.
And there was
there was just computers. There was no beautiful people.
Well, there was beautiful people, but you just didn't see them.
I just couldn't see them.
Yeah.
So again, different formats. And back in the day, it was not virtual. Now I'm going to age myself again.
Yeah.
It was in correspondence.
Yeah.
So I had to mail in my assignments.
I remember that.
Remember that?
Yeah, I remember that.
So I studied it all while I was pregnant. I knew that my third child, I was not planning on going back into the corporate world. And I studied real estate by correspondence and got licensed when I gave birth. So, I think even right before I gave birth, I got my license.
That's right.
But, so you could do it like that. You could do it virtually. So there's a Collège de l'enseignement immobilier. That one you could go at your own pace.
Yeah.
There's no classes per se. So if you're more independent, you could do it like that. There's Collège Immobilier, which is virtual classes where you have to attend at specific times.
Mm-hmm.
And then you've got more like LaSalle College where you're going in person. And I think each one of these schools now with COVID adjusted. Some of them might have now virtual classes as well. So I might be a bit off my game there with respect to LaSalle College's availability for virtual. But all this to say, depending on what your preference is, what your schedule is.
And a big shout out to David Haynes, who was my favorite teacher at LaSalle College, who actually pushed me to go into mortgage brokering. Just FYI.
Thank you, David.
Yeah.
So you basically start with that. The price range, Terry, for the classes, we're looking at what, about $5,000?
Yeah, I think all in, like when you're, I think that you're going to find some on the lower end and, some on the higher end. So I would say a good range is 3,000 to 5,000. Yeah. And then don't forget you have your exams and your licensing.
Yeah. So the OACIQ, which is the governing body of real estate brokers. So ordre. Oh my God.
Oh, don't say it. Don't say it.
Autorité de marché financier. Okay. No, you say I'm Mexican. No, that's AMF. Autoréglementation. Oh my God, this thing is
You
too
usually make fun of me when I can't say it. And you're the francophone. I like this.
It's way too long. Way too long.
Yeah.
And I'm mixing
OACIQ. Let's just end it there.
OACIQ.
Yeah.
To write your OACIQ exam, it costs about $1,000. Then you have to get your licensing, depending on if you're getting just residential. So there's residential real estate broker and commercial real estate broker. So you have to do 2 different licenses, 2 different courses.
Yeah.
And 2 different OACIQ exams. So everything I'm saying, you're going to have to do times 2 if you want to do your commercial as well. And then the license, we're looking at about $1,500 for the license. Then you've got your Centris fees, like
that links you up to your
MLS.
That's right.
So again, an activation fee for that, ranging at about $1,000, and you've got your monthly fees for Centris and your annual renewal fees, your annual licensing fees with OACIQ and Centris.
Yeah.
And
real estate brokerages. The actual agencies that you're working with, right? So let's not forget that that's probably one of the biggest expenses that a lot of brokers don't factor in. And a real estate agency will charge its brokers desk fees to allow them to use the facilities, to allow them to use their names. And it can be as small as $75 a month for certain agencies to I've seen as high as $2,000 a month, a month.
Yeah.
That's not office space included. That's not having okay. So you have to do your homework when you're becoming a real estate broker. Which agency would you choose to go with? And what is each agency going to offer you over another one?
And obviously, you also have to look at cost versus benefit. At $50 or $75 a month, you're not going to get much support. And it's not to say in general. I'm just saying you have to look at what they're making in order to provide you services.
Exactly.
And not to say that the more you pay, the more
between
services.
you and me, I've seen an agent pay $1,500 a month and they got Zero support.
So you
need
have
to do your homework.
You do have to do your homework and figure out exactly what you want out of an agency so that you can get that and it's not, and you're willing to pay for it. And let's not forget also continuing education. We have to constantly do credits to make sure we stay licensed.
Stay active, stay current.
Yeah. So
and that costs.
That costs as well. So as you could see, it costs to become a real estate broker. You will make money once you start if you take the right steps, but it does cost money to get licensed. But you have to look at it more like investing in a business.
So that's the best way, that's the way that I like to look at it. It is a business that you're acquiring, if you will. And you are that business. And the time and the energy that you're going to put into that business is what's going to give you, ultimately, you'll get a result from it. If you've watched, the HGTV shows, you watch Netflix series, you do stuff like that, and you see, whether it's $1 Million Listing or Selling Sunset and all that stuff, and you see the, the glamour and the glory, like we said earlier, you have to realize that that's not necessarily everyone that's going to experience that. Right.
And also, they only show the good stuff.
100%.
So they're not going to show.
Yeah.
They're not going to show that they had $100,000 marketing bill that they had to pay to host that fancy burgers and Botox open house
on Selling Sunset. Yeah, absolutely.
Right.
Yeah.
And yes, they're going to end up with $1 million commission on that, but they spent the $100,000.
You know what? I have a really great idea.
Uh-oh.
Okay. It's burgers and Botox. Forget that. Souvlaki and Botox. That's what we're going to do. All our open houses at Northeast is going to be souvlaki and Botox. You come, you get your souvlakis, and there's a doctor there to give you Botox treatment. Okay. All right, I'm done. Sorry.
Well, I'm glad I didn't put you in charge of open houses.
Okay. So, and you got to stay motivated, obviously, during the hard times. And there is hard times. And there's a lot of hard times because real estate, especially in Quebec, is very, there's a cycle that it goes through. So if you happen to get in at the wrong time in that cycle, you can have some really, really lean months. You have to be ready. And you got to be prepared. And you got to make sure that you're budgeting properly for everything. When we come back, we're going to be looking at how to become a mortgage broker. And now we're off to a CTV News update.
The Real Estate Show is brought to you by Northeast Real Estate and Mortgage Agency. You're listening to The Real Estate Show with your real estate and mortgaging team, Terry Kilakos and Merav Marciano on CJAD 800.
You're listening to The Real Estate Show, and today we're talking about starting a career as a broker, whether it's mortgage brokers, which is definitely the fun people out of the two professions, or real estate brokers,
which are the cool people.
I guess the mortgage brokers were more nerdy compared to the real estate brokers, where you guys are like, life is beautiful. Okay, anyways. Feel free to call us at the office if you have any questions at 514-680-4674. You can visit us online at nordest.ca. So now we're going to talk about something that's near and dear to my heart, which is mortgage brokering, right?
Yeah.
So before the news, we looked at how to become a real estate broker. Now let's take a little bit of a look and see what it takes to become a mortgage broker. Merav, you know what it takes to become a mortgage broker. I don't, so please go ahead. I'm taking a sit back. I'm drinking my coffee.
So before the break, we were talking about real estate brokers who get licensed by the OACIQ. Mortgage brokers, recently, we've transitioned from the OACIQ into the AMF. And this one I know because it's short. AMF, l'Autorité des Marchés Financiers. Yeah. The OACIQ, it's the whole autoréglementation. It's a little... so the AMF is who governs any financial services. So anything that happens with respect to financial advisors, financial planners, insurance representatives, insurance brokers.
All the fun people.
All the fun people, yes. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Are governed by the AMF.
Exactly.
And education-wise?
Education-wise, it's not expensive, honestly. It was, you go to the Mortgage Pros.
Yeah.
Mortgage Pros Can. So it's Mortgage Pros Canada is basically like an association across Canada that represents all mortgage professionals. So if you go to their website, They have
training courses.
They have
right?
training
That you can-
courses.
yeah,
You could also do it with Collège l'enseignement immobilier, just like I mentioned before for the real estate brokers. Same thing for the mortgage brokers. The benefit about that, you go at your own pace.
Right. So you can take, as long as you need to take to finish it off.
And then you've got the traditional colleges that offer it, LaSalle College, etc. So, and they're all range.
Actually, I'm sorry. I don't think does LaSalle College offer the mortgage brokers program?
I'm pretty sure they do.
Do they? Okay. All right. I'm
Okay,
not
now
sure.
you're putting down my mind.
I don't know if they do. But there is another college.
But Collège Immobilier also offers it.
Yes, absolutely.
And again, it depends if you want to do it in class, virtual, or at your own pace. And when I say virtual, I don't mean virtual at your own pace. I mean virtual with a teacher teaching in front of you. So
Right.
that's why I put in a separate category from at your own pace. And basically, we're looking at a pricing anywhere between $2,000 to $4,000. It's a little bit cheaper than real estate, but I would say even more towards the 3,000.
Exactly.
And it's a faster course
Yeah.
also. The benefit about that is you become a mortgage broker, and we also encourage our mortgage brokers to become financial advisors for those who
Financial security advisors. Look,
financial
if we-
security advisors.
If we want to be proper with the AMF terminology.
Yes, financial security advisors, so that they can also offer like insurance products and investment products. Because once you close a mortgage, it only makes sense to make sure that that the client has the right coverage.
It's properly protected, absolutely.
And for
Yeah.
licensing, it's split up. It's not the same as OSIC, but it's split up. Your liability insurance is split up from your licensing So we're looking under $1,000 a year of licensing fees. So it's not as expensive to be a mortgage broker.
Yeah. And, the same thing holds true with what we said earlier about where you're going to go and work. For myself, when I started off as a mortgage broker, I chose to go and work with Multipret. They're a great institution. They've been around forever. I personally learned a lot working with them. We had my philosophies might have been a little bit different. So we decided that I was gonna launch Northeast, and we ended up launching Northeast a few years after I became a broker, and we did our own thing. But it's really, really important to understand that where you're going to work will determine also how much desk fees you're paying. And I've seen, brokerages that'll charge you $50 a month, and I've seen brokerages that'll charge you $700 a month on the mortgage side. So you got to do your homework. You got to see what each agency is going to be offering and choose accordingly. Choose which one is going to give you, good support. Do they have the infrastructure to support you? Can they even support rookie brokers, right? If you're just starting off. A lot of places can't. They don't have that infrastructure. Are they going to charge you when you're a rookie for them to treat you to
Yeah, I've seen some agencies charge for
training,
probation period.
Yeah.
So
which is criminal as far as I'm
yeah,
concerned.
we do have to be careful about that. And also I find that you have to get informed, what does a mortgage broker do? Because there is a huge difference between being a mortgage broker and a mortgage specialist in a bank. And I think as a mortgage broker, you do have to understand that job is completely different, and your job is not to just give the best rate to a client. It's so much more than that.
Yeah. So just to kind of touch on that a little bit, it's actually the amount of times that I have people, they come in and they see me, and let's say they have a mortgage with, I don't know, RBC, for example. And they say, and I say to you, is RBC your bank? And they say, yeah, I went to a mortgage broker and they put me with RBC. And I was put with RBC. I said, a mortgage broker put you with RBC. I was like, are you sure about that? And they look at me and they're like, yeah, well, it's a person, they worked at a bank. Actually, I have to say to them, where did you go and meet this person? Did they come to your house? Did you go to an office? Did you go to the bank? They're like, no, we went to the branch. And I'm like, okay, that's not a mortgage broker. That is a mortgage specialist. That is someone that works in a bank. And I use the term specialist very loosely sometimes, but anyways, whatever. I'm not going to get into a rant about stuff like that.
It's a mortgage salesperson.
It's a mortgage salesperson,
Yeah.
okay? Which means that they are only authorized to sell products that their boss tells them to sell. So if they work for RBC, they have to sell RBC products. If they work for Scotia, it's Scotia product. TD products. They cannot broker a transaction.
Well, they're not licensed.
They're not licensed
to
broker a transaction.
They're not licensed, period.
Some of them are.
As financial security advisors.
Yes, but that's a whole other. I don't want to overcomplicate things, but you have to remember that there's a big difference between the two. A mortgage broker is going to be you're going to be able to go in, you're going to be able to see them, and they're going to be able to look at the entire market and say, these are the options I could give you. Besides that, a mortgage broker learns about credit, learns about what to do with your home buyer's plan, learns about all kinds of interesting little things that can actually make you and save you a ton of money in the course of your transaction, not rate related.
Yeah, because unfortunately, the way that the public is educated through commercials and through the big banks is come to us, we have the best rate, best rate, best rate. But a lot of these best rate comes with a lot of little asterisks, and we have to be careful of that because you will save that $10 a month, but that'll come at a very high cost if you need to sell your house, if you need to refinance your house, if you need to break that mortgage for any reason, and life happens in the course of 5 years. Life happens, so I don't want to hear I don't plan on breaking it for 5 years. Because you don't plan for your wife to leave you or for you to have triplets someday.
Or you to leave your wife. Hey, what's good for the goose is good for the gander, okay?
But you know what I mean? Yeah. Life happens. You do have to talk about penalty. Yeah. You know, you're going into this marriage. You have to talk about what's the cost of divorcing this bank.
And a proper mortgage broker, this is where they shine. They're going to be able to explain all of these things to you. And you're not going to get that from a mortgage specialist. So let's make that distinction. So if you plan on getting into the profession and you actually want to be able to service your customers properly or your clients properly and advise them properly, I would opt to go the mortgage brokerage route rather than the mortgage specialist route. And, you know, I'm actually very impressed because I'm seeing a lot of mortgage specialists right now who have been working in the banks say, I don't want to work here anymore. I don't want to sell just one product to my customer. I'm not servicing my customer well. And they're transitioning from being mortgage specialists, going to school, getting their licensing, and becoming mortgage brokers.
Yeah.
And I saw there's a very large producer in Quebec that came from the banking world. And I remember speaking to him last year, and he said to me, he goes, I'm fed up of working in the bank. He's like, I'm not servicing my customers well. And he became a mortgage broker.
It hurts to have to refuse a client just because you don't offer that product. So I do agree with him.
Yeah, absolutely. Anyways, I could talk about mortgage brokering till I'm blue in the face. But up next, we're going to be having a look at what you should be looking for when choosing an agency where to work. Now we're off to the CJAD Traffic Center.
The Real Estate Show is brought to you by Northeast Real Estate and Mortgage Agency.
Thank you for tuning in. Today's discussion is about starting a career as a broker and how to go about it. You're listening to The Real Estate Show on CJAD 800. So we've talked real estate, we've talked mortgages.
Yes.
Now let's talk about the agencies that these brokers work for.
You're going to have to choose either your agency for real estate brokers or your firm for mortgage brokers. So definitely choose wisely, as the Spartans would say.
Yeah. Choose your next words wisely. Choose your brokerage wisely.
And, working for the right brokerage or firm
can make or break you.
Absolutely. Yeah. Absolutely. And it has to do with having the right mentor, having the right support, having the right marketing, it's everything, having the right training.
Yeah.
And not all agencies are created equally, and not all mortgage firms are created equally. And it's important to do your homework properly. Just go around, ask questions to different firms and find out what each one has to offer. And speak to actual brokers who are already working there to find out how happy they are. Because it's going to give you an idea if you're heading in the right direction.
And, I will say, joining an agency or a firm, you're joining a family at the end of the day. And, this is one of the things that I always talk about with our brokers. I say that, we're part of you're part of the Northeast family. That's the good and the bad. And for those of you who have come into our office, you know that it's an open concept office. There is offices in there, but it isn't open space. Excuse me, to a certain degree. And, everyone hears everyone. Everyone has their own personality. And we actually encourage our brokers and the people in the office to let their personalities out, because this is what actually makes it an amazing environment. Unfortunately, sometimes you'll end up getting the odd person that'll sneak through the interview process. And, if you ever choose to become a broker at Northeast, I have news for you. There's an interview process, whether you're a real estate broker or you're a mortgage broker, because just as much as you're joining my family, I have to accept you into my family, right? And unfortunately, that's not the case with a lot of agencies. So a lot of agencies, because they make money from you on your desk fees, they don't care if you're a producer. They don't care who you are. This is the reality of it. Okay?
I know that the good firms, the good agencies go through an interview process like we do.
Please. Okay. All right. We'll say that they do. Yes, there is a couple that'll go through.
There's some good ones out there who will pick and choose properly.
Yes,
they're brokers.
They're brokers. Yes.
And then you've got the ones who just want everyone to collect the desk fee. So you do have to make sure that you're paying.
You're so politically correct. Anyways.
But it's the truth.
Okay. So there is going to be a couple of people that, have slipped through our interview process, and they've become brokers at Northeast where they shouldn't have been brokers at Northeast. And they quickly realize that they just joined a bunch of nut job their new family. We're all a bunch of crazies in there, right? Because we like to have fun. We have crazy 5 cassettes. We party. If you guys ever look at if you go on our YouTube channel, newsonthego.ca, by the way, if you haven't subscribed, please take a second to subscribe to it. You're going to actually see our Christmas video. Right? In our Christmas video, you actually see what we do, like how we are. There's actually a video that we had done on CTV, you and I, where we were wishing people happy, Merry Christmas. And there's a blooper reel attached to it, because the blooper reel I found was just like funnier than the actual, right? Anyways.
Yes.
That's it. That's my story. So you got to make sure you're picking your family correctly.
Otherwise, you stand out.
Yeah.
If you're
in a bad way.
Yeah, you'll stand out and it's applicable to all agencies. If you join an agency where you don't fit in, you will stand out, and you will not enjoy the process, because you're going to say, I don't even know what I'm doing here.
Yeah.
I can't connect with any of these people. I'm not getting the support I need. So if I could tell you, any brokers who come from other agencies or firms who join us, that's their main complaint. I'm not getting support.
From the other agency.
Yes.
Yeah, or the firm. Yeah.
So they're leaving another firm for that reason. And I understood that that's the main thing that people want is, I'm going into a new career.
Yeah.
Who's going to help me with this?
So I'll tell you the way. I don't know how it is outside, but let me tell you how it is at Northeast. So we talked about how we love to have fun, and I think it's important because it makes for a really nice, fun environment. But besides that, when you become a broker at Northeast, the first thing that happens is you go through a 2-week training process. Mortgage brokers and real estate brokers are trained together, okay? Because I want to make sure that my real estate brokers and my mortgage brokers know what the other one knows, okay? So that's really, really important. That way, the real estate brokers, when they're making an offer, they don't make the mistake of putting 2 days for financing, because they know it's not possible, okay? So stuff like that, our brokers will work together, they train together. The second thing that happens is our brokers work in teams, right? We don't necessarily pick the teams, okay? So they will, brokers will gravitate to each other. Mortgage broker will gravitate to a real estate broker and vice versa. Occasionally we might have to make introductions, but effectively what happens is when a client comes in for a pre-approval, mortgage broker will pre-approve them, give them that letter that says that they are able to they qualify for X amount, and then they will be sent off to a real estate broker. Now, I also don't believe in poaching other real estate brokers' clients. So if the client says, I already have a real estate broker, I say, thank you very much. Use your own broker. I encourage you to use your own broker, because the most important thing for a client is that the broker that they're working with, they have to get along with him, because you spend a lot of time with that broker. Okay, so if it's not going to be one of ours, it'll be one of theirs.
And I have to say, you bring up a good point, because in this business, whether it's a real estate broker or mortgage broker, one of the most important things out there in the market is collaboration.
Yes.
If you are a broker who does not collaborate properly with other brokers, you will not succeed.
Exactly.
You have to know how to pick up the phone, be respectful, negotiate properly, keep brokers in the loop, and just collaborate properly.
Yeah. And our philosophy is very simple. We hire brokers, we hire, mortgage brokers or real estate brokers. And we want to make sure that the brokers that we have become successful, become senior brokers. Once they become successful and become senior brokers, then we bring in the juniors, new people. Those people work with the seniors. Mm-hmm. There's constantly this partnership. So that way, the juniors end up making money. So it's not frustrating for them that they become an agent or a broker and they're not making anything. So they become, they join up, they become a team with a senior broker. They start making some money. They start enjoying themselves. They learn the business from the senior, and then they could actually prosper. And then the cycle begins all over again. And I don't think that there's too many agencies that do that. I'm not going to say that there's none because I don't know. I can't make that claim that we're the only ones that do that. But do your homework. And don't only get don't be attracted to the name, because at the end of the day, you as the broker are ultimately the that's going to make a name for yourself. It's
true.
not the banner that you hold your license with. Right? So you don't necessarily need...
Yeah, I agree. I know some big names in Montreal. I don't even remember which agency they work for. I know the name of the broker.
Exactly.
Absolutely.
Nobody knew who Terry Kilakos worked for when Terry Kilakos started. They knew Terry Kilakos.
So now if somebody wants to become a broker with us, what do they have to do?
So you can give us a call. We'll be happy to sit down and chat with you. We'll give you a game plan, and we'll put you through the interview process. And if everything goes well, you'll get into the mix. You can reach us at the office at 514-680-4674. Merav, we're out of real estate. Or you can visit us online at nordest.ca. Till next week, everyone. Have a blessed week. Love you all.
The Real Estate Show is brought to you by Northeast Real Estate and Mortgage Agency.